Namaste. How are you today? Good? Let's discuss Bharatanatyam as a school, as a form, which has evolved over centuries. It is akin to an ocean that surrounds India, called Bay of Bengal in Bengal, but in Kanyakumari down south, it becomes Indian Ocean. So while the form, its language, musical mode, and overall appearance is one, on closer examination, each guru, each region has brought in special features or characteristics. You are with me so far? Good. On leading to villages and coming out of villages like Katumunar, Pandanallur, Vallavur, many institutions were formed like Kalakshetra, Kalamandalam when these gurus came out of the villages to the cities. While many gurus and dancers, musicians and teachers contributed to its enrichment, some made a distinct style or banis, as the schools are called in English. The word does not mean school as in studying, but school as a style or a different stream. What makes a stream? Clear distinctive features and marked characteristics like special stylization. For example, when we talk of Kalakshetra style or school or bani, it means certain angularity and firmness of form. It means doing Bharatanatyam in a manner other styles may not be doing so. So in banis are individual traits as given by generations of gurus. And lastly, due to number of students and popularity, it gets established. The importance of the bani in which a dancer is trained, the dance lineage that one inherits from one's gurus is a vital factor in shaping one's creative growth. A dancer may be exceptionally talented and the guru may be totally painstaking, but if the bani or vadi to which one belongs is impoverished, flawed or shallow, one artistic evolution may well be stunted. The qualities that make each bani distinct from the other stem from the individualistic manner in which the dance alphabets are woven together, the specific ways in which the technical dimensions are interpreted, and not least from the aesthetic principles, ideals, perceptions and artistic vision of the gurus who shaped their banis and directed their evolution. The dance bani is like a vast, majestic banyan tree. The gurus are the branches that send down many roots so that the tree grows and spreads vital and vibrant, says Alarmail Valli. We have 4 or 5 main schools or banis, starting with Fountainhead, Tanjore or Tanjore as it was called, the cultural capital of Tamil Nadu. The word Tanjore Quartet refers to the 4 brothers, Ponaiya Pillai, Chinnaiya Pillai, Vadivelu and Sivanandan, who served the Tanjore court of Maharaja Sarfojis, Maratha kings who ruled South India. To this lineage came many musicians and dancers like Nayana, Dhandamal and Bala Saraswati. Born into a Nattuvanar family, the quartet learnt music from the great saint poet Muthuswami Dikshitar. They were court composers in the early 1800s and went on to adorn various royal courts of South India. The brothers set the Margam pattern from Allaripu to Tillana and gave a chiseled structure to Sadir dance appropriate for the concert stage. They composed an impressive number of Allaripus, Jatiswarams, Kautvams, Sabdams, Varnams, Padams, Javalis, Kirtanais and Tillanas and brought remarkable artistic changes and innovations to the tradition. The quartet's Sringara Rasa based dance compositions constitute the majority of dance composition used even today. Tanjore Kittappa Pillai, 1913 to 1999, was a descendant of the Tanjore quartet, and many present-day dancers take immense pride in calling themselves his disciples. He had his lessons in music from Natesh Iyer Sastri and later from his father K. Ponaiya Pillai. He learnt dance from his maternal grandfather Pandanallur Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai. The Tanjore Bani idly treats dance like visual music. A relaxed attitude makes it possible to execute adavus in a leisurely tempo involving a full body swing with curves which bring out the true grandeur of this Bani. Kittappa Pillai had a special method of composing jatis. His Sancharis came more through his musical expression than through body language. The musical variations which he developed had a special audio-visual quality which is very essential in the rendering of a dance composition. He always took into account the rhythmic aspect of words present in a lyric. Kittappa Pillai had an impeccable sense of laya, and his Kala Pramana never wavered even a bit during the course of a composition. His choreography of adavus was always in Madhyama Kalam. Sometimes he combined it with the shollus in a faster tempo. His shollus were a form of a beautiful dialogue with the adavu patterns. His jatis, especially in the Varnam, were never too long except for the first 3 Kala jati. His jatis never sounded complicated, but when one starts reciting them with the talam, one realizes the clever weave of the pancha jatis and the korvais. For him, dance should be beautiful to see and to listen. Although Kandappa Pillai came from the same family, he departed from the traditional Tanjore style in a few ways. He implemented certain stylistic changes which emphasized the role of music and rhythm in a performance. For example, during Jatis, Thirumanams, the singer continues singing and instrumentalists continue playing the melody while the Natuvana recites the Cholokattu. Some notable practitioners of Tanjore style are Kanchipuram Illappa Pillai, Vajayanti Mala Bali, Sucheta Chapekar, Sudharani Raghupati, Padmini Rao, Nartaki Nataraj, Sri Vidya Natarajan and Hari Krishnan. Pandanallur, another important village, arose in prominence due to many great gurus like Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai, 1869 to 1954, who hailed, married, lived and taught there but for brief spells in Madras city. Many first generation star dancers like Ram Gopal, Mrinalini Sarabhai, U.S. Krishna Rao went to this village to learn from him. The Pandanallur style of Bharatanatyam has a rich and diverse Adavu vocabulary. Adavus are the basic units of dance like rhythms, sentences, phrases which make a paragraph. It contains complex rhythmic patterns, emphasis on symmetry and harmony, intense musicality, purity and precision of line, and that shuns anything that is extra, pretentious or gimmicky. In the evocation of mood and metaphor, as in story, the emphasis was on Natya Dharmi rather than Lok Dharmi. I hope you understand, all of you as students of dance, that the difference between Natya Dharmi and Lok Dharmi, the difference between lyricism and understatement rather than overt drama. The lilting gait was a constant element in all Abhinaya sections and segments and sort of sub-layer over which Abhinaya was constructed. So slow progression and evolution, nothing in a hurry or flurry. Clarity of hastas, the wide sweep of arms, while performing Abhinaya, a gentleness were also the key. Meandering digressions in the name of Sancharis, one line done 8 or 20 times, was not part of this kind of training and school. In their interpretations of padams or love songs and javalis, vulgarity in any form was done away with. The focus was always on content rather than packaging. Unwanted prolonged poses and acrobatic renderings of nrita portions were innovations not really done by Pandanallur gurus, which is why see the beauty like a very clear-cut diamond in the form. Veteran gurus Chokalingam Pillai, Periyavadiyar and Subrayar Pillai, Chinnavadiyar laid stress on Angasuddham and Araimandi. Even at age 75, Chokalingam Pillai's dedication was such that he guided not only advanced students but also beginners, teaching for hours. Tala was marked by Tattukali more often than finger counting. Beauty in Arutam and fluidity in forcefulness were among the Pandanallur ideals. Covering the stage was important too, with supple, graceful movements, not too many leaps. To relax and smile was a must. The Pandanallur gurus favored the Margam format over thematic presentations and a gentler approach to footwork. Some prominent teachers, performers of the Pandanallur style are Pandanallur Jayalakshmi, Sabha Ranjitam, Pandanallur Pandyan, Alarmel Valli, Meenakshi Chitranjan, etc. In Kattumanar and Chidambaram, another giant guru, Muthukumaran Pillai, 1874 to 1960, lived and taught there, including mentoring boys from other banis like Dandathapani Pillai, known for Laya intricacies and introduction of lengthier jatis, and Ramaya Pillai, who branched off to create the Valluvur Bani. Guru Muthukumaran Pillai also taught in many cities like Chennai, Bangalore and Ahmedabad, but spent the last 10 years of his life in his hometown, Kattumanar Koil, near Chidambaram. Although I learned from Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai, he could not stand and show all the postures. Thus, I benefited from learning from Muthukumaran Pillai, who even at 70 then could stand and show each posture, said Rukmini Devi. Kumari Kamala Lakshman, who originally trained under Guru Muthukumaran Pillai and later under Ramaya Pillai, maintained that her adavus were all Kattumanar Muthukumaran Pillai style and only her items were taught by Ramaya Pillai. Rukmini Devi pointed out in her Sangeet Natak Academy monograph of 1964 that Guru Muthukumaran Pillai's system of adavus was somewhat different from the Pandanallur style. The fundamental differences was that in his style there was more footwork and less utpalavanas. In Pandanallur, the body had to lean forward from the waist upward. Guru Muthukumaran Pillai did not like this. He preferred a posture to keep the spine straight. His abhinaya was more detailed and he followed the sastras. Muthukumaran's style was pure with clear arm movements which were firm without being rigid and soft and rounded without being sloppy. He wanted clean lines, no dazzle and no hurly-burly. He wanted dance to look smooth, not jerky. His dance was the mirror image of the man, always calm and composed. He wanted the movements to appear firm and effortless. In Nritta, he insisted that the termination of one adavu and the beginning of the next should be marked by a sub-overlapping, giving the suggestion of continuity, observed Mohan Kokar in his SNA monograph in 1964. Some of his famous disciples include Ram Gopal, Mrinalini Sarabhai, M.K. Selvamani, M.K. Saroja, Nalanajan, Janak Khendri, and Rukmini Devi. Valluvur Bani, created by Valluvur Ramaya Pillai, 1910 to 1979, is more feminine, emphasizing Lasya over Tandava. Most traditional performances begin with the Todaya Mangalam in praise of Gyana Sabesa, the reigning deity of Valluvur town. Valluvur would infuse life in a jati with 9 beats. So the jatis were very fast and all the 3 speeds would be performed. He also emphasized Cholakattu to create a powerful effect. With regard to Abhinaya, Valluvur incorporated a lot of storytelling. He did not like to repeat the same movements as in some other banis. The Valluvur Bani adopts more rigorous adavus. Then arm movements stretch all the way down to touch the toe. He added a lot of poses to aesthetically transit between jatis rather than letting the dancer stand there with arms at waist, breathing heavily. His approach to Abhinaya was very much in the Natya Dharmi style. He followed everything prescribed in the Natya Shastra. Javalis and Padams are taught to only those above 18 years of age. In the Valluvur style of Bharatanatyam, static postures are inserted most often in the Tillana. To break the monotony and to add variety of rhythms, the adavus flow smoothly with rare abrupt movements and deep sitting positions. The dancer's body from the waist up is slightly bent forward. The jatis have more kodavais and leaps are introduced into every jati. Some prominent gurus of the Valluvur style are Swami Malay K. Rajaratnam Pillai and K. J. Sarasa. Performers are Kamala Lakshman, Radha, Chitra Visweswaran, Priyadarshini Govind, Ramya Ramnarayan, Vidya Subramaniam, Sandhya Sri, Atamakuri. Mysore, under royal patronage, partook of another Bani, more circular for court dancing, and some key gurus like Keshavamurthy, Venkatalakshma, Nagamani and C. Radhakrishnan got associated with it. The Sadir of Tanjore quartet got assimilated into the already existing mode of dancing in Mysore as Chinnaya lived at the court of Mysore for a while. Therefore, most of the Bharatanatyam items performed were of the Tanjore quartet. But the Abhinaya numbers, showing the lyrical beauty of great composers, were different, innumerable and special. Even in the Adavus, the lyrical beauty of movement can be seen. The Mysore Bani was known for flowery hand gestures using alapadmas and katakamukha more than geometrical and linear ones like pataka and tripataka. Historically, it was a king of Ganga dynasty who had won over Odisha in the 12th century. Jayadeva lived in the court of Ganga king Lakshman Sena. Hence, the Mysore dancers rendered Ashtapadis and Shlokas of Geet Govinda much before anyone else did. There are a lot of similarities in hand gestures and movements between Mysore style of Abhinaya and Odissi Abhinaya. The Tribhangi is also employed to enhance the beauty of rendering in the Mysore school. Jati Temaya was a great Abhinaya artist. Her disciple K. Venkatalakshma was the only court dancer of Mysore who did not belong to the Devdasi community. She belonged to the Lambani community. She was appointed as the court dancer of the Mysore court when she was 22 years old. She retired from that post when she was 55 years of age. C. Radhakrishna and his disciples like Padmini Sridhar, Pulakesi Kasturi and Veena Sridhar carry on the style in India, with D. Keshava, disciple of Venkatalakshma, propagates his art in Switzerland along with his dancing family. A disciple of Kandappa, a sixth generation Natunar of Tanjore Chinnaya line, T. Balasaraswati believed deeply in the Margam based performance of the Tanjore quartet, which she was involved the right order and sequence for this art, revealing the spiritual through the corporeal. In this style, Nritya is disciplined within the prescribed Adavu groups. Rhythmical segments have a simple setup, yet are innately rigorous in nature. There are no glamorous movements or glossy poses. In Nritya, dancer is to be serene and not smile broadly to retain the seriousness that goes with the tradition. Angasuddham, neat Araimandi with the back upright and not protruding, clear Hastapada distribution, well-defined Adavu structures, Kala Pramana Suddham, rhythmic patterns that contain intricate laya nuances without outward display, Natuvangam technique that is devoid of any show and magic, and the clarity and completion of Adavus with firm stamping, each one landing with precision, are all important features of this tradition. The linking of Adavu patterns with musical segments forms a lively coordination. Abhinaya here was musically visualized. Leisurely singing, Sangati oriented or raga elongations, blending with the hand and the eyes that follow to create a wholesome picture with an innate beauty were hallmarks of this technique. Nuances of Abhinaya are couched in subtlety and dignity. Even in depiction of Sringara, the force of the feeling is intent within, while the dancer's outward display is subdued to suit the stage. Depiction of role reversal in episodic narration is not employed. Bala's grandson, Aniruddha Knight, is carrying on this family legacy. Nandini Ramani and her sister Priyamvada are Bala's disciples too. Their disciple, New York-based dancer John Freeman, is propagating the Bala style in the US. Rukmini Devi, 1908 to 1984, the founder of Kalakshetra in Chennai, created the Kalakshetra style that is simplified form based on Pandanallur and to some extent Tanjore Bani. Kalakshetra is not a Bani but a combination of several masters like the first gurus Muthukumaran Pillai, then Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai, all gurus who taught there, and then some pioneering Kathakali gurus came too, who gave it exaggerated eyebrow and eye movements and hastas. Rukmini Devi did not change the actual itemization of a Bharatanatyam recital because she wholly believed in the progress of items as laid down by the Tanjore quartet. Apart from existing items, she incorporated Tyagaraja Kritis and Gopala Krishna Bharati's verses into her repertoire. A major change Rukmini Devi incorporated in the dance was in Ahari Abhinaya, or expression in costume, stage and decor. She studied the scriptures for reference to the attire of the dancer and the bas reliefs on temple walls to see how the dancers were draped. She was the first to use dark blue curtains as a backdrop instead of the painted sceneries that were popular. She was the first to move the musicians to a seated position upstage to the right of the dancer, from which they could view the dancer and the audience could also view them. While she, the Pandanallur Bani, is perhaps the most demanding, the Kalakshetra Bani goes a step further with its emphasis on technique. When we speak of styles and characteristics, we speak of an important institution like you've all heard of, Kalakshetra. Kalakshetra's style's salient features are its linear and geometric patterns, movements which have minimal lasya, and virtual absence of rechakas, and there is less emphasis on too much of Sringara based items. The movements are sometimes stiff and calculated, almost rigid and controlled. It is specifically suited for group compositions. Sometimes, like all of you wish to participate in a group composition, don't you? Rukmini Devi's treatment of the mudras or hastas, the body positions and movements used to enhance their message, the tremendous expansion of basic movement vocabulary according to the system of unfolding, increasingly difficult and variety of patterns, that use of stage, the specific use of spine, or the tautness of form and delicacy of expression. All these may be attributed to her vision, intuition and sensitivity. As an artist, she also grew from time to time. She renewed, she changed, she added, she composed, she created new movements from within the same dimension, so that today the young dancer has a vocabulary far richer than the predecessor. The Kalakshetra Bani was a natural evolution over a period of time. Many scholars don't even call it a Bani because so many gurus taught there and added to what was started off as a special institution for training dancers in Bharatanatyam. Famous Kalakshetra gurus include Periyasarda, Chinnasarda, the Dhananjayans, Bal Gopal, A. Janardhanan, Jayalakshmi, C.V. Chandrasekhar and Jaya, Savitri Jagannatha Rao, Neela Satyalingam, Narasimhacharis and Vasanta Lakshmi, Leela Sampson, to name a few. Bharatanatyam, propagated by Dr. Padma Subramanian, can be described as the confluence of the Marga technique of the Natya Shastra and Desi technique of present Bharatanatyam. She synthesized the Karanas into the existing system of Bharatanatyam, thus creating a unique style. The neat straight lines and angularity of the Bharatanatyam adavus, combined with the curvaceous hip movements, serpentine arm movements, leaps and extended throw of the legs of the Karanas of Natya Shastra, became the characteristic features of a style of dance. She christened her style as Bharatanatyam, as what was performed was Nrityam and not Natyam. Melatu style was created by Mangudi Dore Raja Iyer, who revived Shuddha Nrityam and Perani dancing on clay pots. His style eschews items praising living patrons, thus most of the Tanjore quartet repertoire, and encourages dancer to stamp the floor softly with a complex variety of sounds produced by ankle bells. There is emphasis on Sringara Bhakti. His student Revati Ramachandran is the torchbearer of this style. Many further schools and styles came over the years, not only to Kalakshetra, to Bharatanatyam. They were like small rivers joining the big river, we can call it Ganga. And the small rivers individually by names, Kaveri, the Mysore school, or it could be Krishna in Andhra, or it could be Beas in Himachal. Each provenance brought its own speciality, and like Mumbai, Baroda, Pune, Trichy, any part of India partook of this water and language and material of Bharatanatyam to add to the parent body. Of course, the mother source of this ocean remained and is Bharatanatyam.